And I am joined with Impact Dyslexic Society, and we are going to talk about dyslexia and his story and what he wants to accomplish and what are his goals.
Thank you. I'm glad
Of
to be
course.
here.
I'm glad you came. I appreciate you taking the time to do a chat with me.
Absolutely.
So, with dyslexia, what motivated you to start a page and speak up about it?
That's a really good question because when I first found out I was dyslexic, I actually had the complete opposite feelings about it in the beginning versus how I have it now.
Yeah.
Right now I'm very positive. So what motivated me to start a page was I became involved with this charity called Impact Dyslexia. Impact Dyslexia is a nonprofit organization that finds bold solutions to the dyslexic crisis. And I was fortunate to talk to, excuse me, I was fortunate to talk with one of the co-founders, and he invited me. And at the time, they were looking to start a student page, and I was very fortunate enough to have all the resources and everything I need to overcome it and work around it. So I wanted to try to provide the same, but except for more of a tips and resource style fashion. So where I could help other people and show them that they're not alone.
Yeah. And when you found out you had dyslexia, what was the first initial feeling emotionally? Where were you? And
When I
mentally?
Yeah, when I first found out I was dyslexic, I'll never forget the day because the way it worked was obviously then when I get tested, they're not going to just say, "Hey, okay, you're dyslexic. Now get out. It's time to move on." It was
Yeah.
an hour. Yeah, it was hours and hours worth of discussion. So when they were telling me, I was a bit confused at first because they're like, "This is just the way your brain works, and that's okay." And I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" And they never really said it until I asked. So it was kind of a skull crusher a little bit because I loved the school where I was going. And at the time in the state of New Jersey in 2014, they did not recognize dyslexia as a learning disability.
No.
So I would have thrown in with special ed and things like that. And I loved the school where I went to. It was a really special school. It was a small little private school, and they said they couldn't support me. They didn't have what I would need. So then at the time, that's when we decided to move down to Texas. And I'm sure we'll get more into that later.
So when you were you ever did you ever think you were stupid or were you ever called stupid?
Um, I was never called stupid before. Well, maybe I probably was. Yeah, in fact, I was. Um, but I definitely have felt stupid. I've noticed there was a definite and obvious lag between me sometimes and where the rest of the class was, and that sometimes still stays the same.
Yeah. And do you tend to realize that people go disability with a negative connotation and then it's a bad thing?
Um,
Have you seen that with people?
Lots of people surprisingly, yeah, that okay, yeah, lots of people do, but at the same time, the way I choose to look at it is that dyslexia was a super strength for me. It has opened
Agreed.
so many doors. It has opened so many doors and opportunities. Not only this, but whether that's resources, tips, mentors, inspiration. So when I got screened, my brain said they said although my reading part might be a little bit down, my visual capabilities and things like that were up, so I could paint this perfect picture in my head, but I might have trouble articulating it to people.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And
I look at I'm sorry.
that provided so many like opportunities for me, and that's what motivated me to go into college and major in business and entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship dyslexics thrive in an entrepreneur setting.
Yes. And you learned that you had to find a different way to learn. Like what I did when I found out was I stayed after. I came to class early to make sure the teachers knew that I was trying just to get by. So when I was trying to get by, I didn't know until 10th grade. When did you find out?
Oh, I knew in wow. Okay, so I knew in fifth grade.
Okay.
So I had, thank goodness, I had all the accommodations when I went to middle school and high school.
Yeah.
I had all that written and I talked to all my teachers and I tried really hard and all hard work pays off, thank goodness. So I would go in pre-COVID education. I would go in like um, every day during the morning, and I even stay after if I had to lots of times. And sometimes I even had to miss practice for mountain
Yeah.
biking um, if I was struggling or I needed help. It's just about time management and utilizing your resources and things like that.
So what was the biggest thing that you learned? I mean, obviously, as you know, we cope with it every day, but overcoming it is finding out new avenues and ways to deal with it and come out on top and speak out and help others. But when you today, what is the difference? Like if you look back, what is the difference you see, and what is the biggest thing you've learned in the experience in itself?
The biggest thing I've learned and the biggest difference, it's the same answer for both of those actually. So for me, it was to take time, don't rush things to get ahead of what you've accomplished. Take time to really appreciate what you've accomplished, big or small, and notice how far and how long it's taking you to get there, and just really appreciate all the hard work you did for yourself, because everything you do is pretty much an investment in yourself
Yeah.
and how you perceive things going forward. So take time, whether it's big things or small steps, know that you got there and just really let that sink in and appreciate yourself for that.
And you've obviously talked with some people who've reached out to you. Have people told you that you helped them or you touched them or
Yes.
motivated them? And how did you feel after that? And what did they say that made you feel the way you did?
When you that's a good question, because when you do work like this, you're not doing it for popularity, you're not doing it for money, you're doing it to help other people. So when that's the most type of compliment when people get is good feedback on like what you're doing, and it really touches your heart because you know you're making an impact, you know you're doing some sort of service, you know you're doing everything you can to help other people.
And if you found a kid in fifth grade and a kid in 10th grade, say, and you got them in a room together and they both just found out they had dyslexia, what would you tell them both? Knowing that they are mentally in different places, age wise, different places, education wise, different places, what would you tell
Yeah,
them?
I would I would go up to them and like give them a huge hug and say like, congratulations, this is incredible. You might not see it now, but this might be, and it probably will be. You just got to utilize, even though it's publicly considered a weakness, the strengths it has
Yeah.
and how far that could take you
Yep. And
and
as you know, we
shape
have with the,
you to define you and everything else
and as you know, dyslexia, we have to think outside the box, right? So
all the
thinking
time.
outside, yes. So thinking outside the box is almost a power because you learn to do it educationally speaking. What I've learned, bringing that out of the education system and putting it into the workforce, is it's been a gift, may I say. And I started this page because I wanted to give back after doing. I did Orton Gillingham. What did you use?
Ooh, I believe. Mm, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure off the
You're
top of
good.
my mind it, but I definitely I've definitely done some sort of programs before, and I'll get back to you. I'll write that in the chat when I find it.
Okay. What are your goals? So, what were your goals when you found out you had dyslexia, and what are your goals when you started your page, and what are your goals today?
Well, and yeah, before that, I'd like to say some sort of comment for the audience. When you asked me about us constantly thriving and adapting,
Yes.
constantly, that's what it was. And to add on to entrepreneurship, that's what some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs and self-made millionaires, just a fun fact, are dyslexic. And the reason for that is because they're not only are they passionate about what they do, but their worlds are constantly changing, just like an entrepreneur. You're always having to pivot, change, do things. And that's what dyslexic people are always used to. So anyway, go back to you.
Uh, Thank you. I appreciated that. As I was saying, with fifth grade to when you started the page to now, what is your goals in those three different chapters?
So for the goals for the page, I truly do it as a passion to show people what you can do with dyslexia, provide them as much tips and resources, motivation, guest speaking, mentors, tips, and resources. So those are my goals for the page that I think I've been doing a pretty good job so far of providing a good amount of information on there. And my goals for the future are just like kind of like what I said, to take in all the moments of accomplishments that you have made and let it sink in, and just really, it's almost like that song always, humility almost with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if kind of out of line question, but say you have a kid. I don't know if dyslexia is hereditary or not, and you had a kid with dyslexia.
It
When
is for
you, it is right.
me.
So you're gonna have your kid tested when you have one,
Probably yes.
and if your kid has it, what are the steps you're gonna go with?
So my parents at the time, they got educated all about the topic after I was tested, and before, also before, because they were obviously were thinking something was up. But they took a pretty great approach to it. So I pretty much carry the similar approach, and always like looking for the best possible outcomes and show them like, I mean, we are doing so much better as a whole today. Like back in the day, I don't think I could have gotten accommodations for testing in extra time. Now I can.
Yeah,
So for our future, it's going to be a much more easier than how we had it in the
yeah.
beginning,
So
especially since lots of people are much more aware. But the approach I would take on my kids is definitely showing the positive outlooks on it first, and then discuss after the positivity what your weaknesses might be and how that can be corrected over time.
so
Because
my goal, yeah, that's awesome. I like your optimism. I like your motivation. I like your attitude towards it. It
thank you.
I appreciate it because I am all of them, and I love when people are like this and they give back and you support it, and you're helping me. You're helping accomplish what I want to do, and I'm obviously assuming you wanted to accomplish just reaching as many people as possible. Because the unfortunate part about it is, great example here. You were fifth grade, I was 10th grade, but then there's also 30-year-olds who don't know. But there's
Hmm.
also, I mean, if you don't know and you got to figure it out and stuff, it's great because my goal overall is to get teachers and school systems a little more adapted to it because I feel that teachers and school systems don't know how to teach kids with dyslexia and stuff. I want them to be, I want to create awareness. And I mean, in a perfect world or in my dreams, probably, I want teachers to be in school, right? In college, it to be a subject they have to study and learn on how to teach one classroom with kids with disabilities. Maybe two teachers is okay, but I want them to be able to accommodate for those kids because that's where, for me, that's where the, oh, you're stupid, oh, you're in the stupid classes, or, and it's a negative connotation where disability isn't negative. It's a different ability. You learn differently, and it's not negative. It's just different, but we're all different. I look at the world to be like, if we were all the same, how boring would it be?
Hmm. Yeah, and absolutely. And something to add on to that too is I remember going to school and I'd be doing the same things as this, and I'd be doing this. My deadlines would be the same amount as the other kids, and I just remember always constantly playing swimming. Like I'd be swimming up against the water just to try to stay on the curve, because I hated when I got behind, because once you get behind, it literally could accumulate just like that over your eyes before anything else. So absolutely yes. Hmm.
So in school for me, I had to keep my head above water. Like the highest grade I would get is like a 68. It'd be a
Okay.
68 or 65. 65 was my number. It's like, oh, yeah, great. I passed. We're done. I did it. Great. And then once I did Orton Gillingham and figured it out, I went from 60, 65s to 85s.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
it opened up my mind because people were calling me stupid and stuff. And as soon as I worked all summer and grinded and figured it out and did Orton Gillingham and came back, I was like, oh, I'm not stupid. So then I started to stand up for me. I was like, oh, no, 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 I'm not stupid. Like, and that's the,
Absolutely correct.
yeah, I don't like when people, you're a disability and you're stupid. Not at all. You just learn differently. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean you're stupid at all.
Yeah.
You were going to say
Absolutely.
something?
No, no, that was it. I was just acknowledging everything.
So with the page, are you going to be talking on there? You just post, like, can you tell me about Impact Dyslexic Society?
Sure. So, Impact Dyslexia Society is a student-oriented Instagram page providing students with mentors, resources, tips, and everything I could possibly find to put on. So, whether that's contacts, whether it's talking with entrepreneurs, architects, the main four categories that dyslexics thrive in. And I'm also doing more student talks. I'm transitioning. I'm trying to find a good mix. So like right now, you and I are doing a student to student talk, talking about our experiences to provide more advocacy and show that more students are not alone.
Awesome.
Because the great majority of students don't even know they have it yet.
Yeah, that's another thing I'd like to do. Is like, I mean, not everybody's gonna get their kid tested, right? But I don't know if there's certain ways we can tell, or there's struggles get them tested. I don't know, but it's I like the way that we're going, the direction we're going, because I see a small community being built, and hopefully in a couple of years it'll be a big community, and it'll be spoke about more, and it'll be supported more. And I appreciate you taking the time
Oh,
today to chat with me.
was that it?
Yeah, that is it.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking with you, and please let me know if you need anything from me, any way I could help or anything.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing you want to tell the audience before you leave?
The audience, I would like to tell the audience that you guys are incredible, and we wouldn't be here without viewers like you who take the time to tune in and listen. And truly, whether that's you are dyslexic or not dyslexic, you are trying to either learn more or improve yourself. And either way, you're making an investment in yourself for tuning into things like this. So thank you all very much.
Thank you for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.